Music seems to have always been a part of my life. I can't remember a time when music wasn't a part of me. I can't remember the first time I thought to play drums. It's just something I've always done. I can't think of a time when I started. I think I was 4 when I got my first real drum, and I wanted that more than anything in life, is to have a real drum. And I got it. My dad went to the store finally. I've been looking at it at the store for a long time. He went to get it for me. He comes back and he goes, "Jerry, I'm sorry, I couldn't get the drum." And I remember just profusely crying. I just broke into tears, like my whole world was falling apart. That's all that mattered to me, was this drum. And then he asked me to go out in the car and get him something. He said, "I left something in the car." I'm 4 years old, so I'm not thinking anything. And I go out there. There it was, sitting on the passenger seat. And that's the very start, I guess, of my actual musical career. And from there, the Beatles came to America. And I saw them on the Ed Sullivan Show. And like many, many, many others, that sealed the deal. You know, that was everything that mattered from that point on, the Beatles. You know, and then from there I went into the 70s, you know, like Grand Funk and Led Zeppelin, Cactus. You know, music was just a part of my life. It's just always what I've done. So, so there you go. I just continued on, and I made music through my teenage years. Was in bands all over the place, all over town. Yeah, actually, the first band I ever had was a band with my dad and my brother, because my dad could just see in me. He told me this. He said he could see in me that I wanted to make music. So he decided, let's start a band. And my brother and my dad both played guitar, and I played drums. We did all instrumental music. You know, anything from a Beatles tune to a waltz to whatever. And we called ourselves Jerry and the Knights. And that was probably the first band that I ever had. We played lodges, we played weddings, parties, floats, and parades, whatever. And that was probably the very first band that I was in. And from there, I would go see this local band called Frog Ocean Road when I was like 14 years old, 13, 14. And to me, they were like gods. You know, they were the most important thing at the time. I was like seeing Led Zeppelin or something. That's how they meant. That's what they meant to me. And eventually, when I was 14 years old, they asked me to join the band, and I became the drummer of my favorite band. From there, I eventually moved to Springfield, Missouri. When I was I think I was 19 years old when I moved to Springfield, Missouri, or 20, something like that. 1978. I moved to Springfield, Missouri. I moved there to go to school. I was going to go to college. And but I knew somewhere in the back of my mind that ultimately I'm going there to meet other musicians. And that's exactly what happened. First, I met a guy named Greg Bowles, who was in a band called Petra. And we made music together. And then he asked me if I wanted to join Petra. And so I said, yeah, of course. And then he brought Doug Pinnick, also from wherever Doug was living in Illinois, to join Petra as well. And that's where I first met Doug. But the whole Petra thing never came about. That just fell apart before we even did anything with him. And but then we ended up playing with Phil Keaggy. I think Greg felt bad that the Petra thing didn't work out, so he got in touch with Phil Keaggy. He said, "Hey, I got these two guys. Let's be a band." And so we were a band. And it was at the height of that thing, which is in the Christian world. In the height of that Christian world, Doug and I think, both realized this is not where we need to be. You know, we need to do our own thing. And so ultimately we formed our own band. And we called ourselves The Edge. And we met Ty Tabor. Asked him if he wanted to play together. We did. We loved it. I think the first time we ever played together, we realized, hey, this is the band we all want to be in. And we formed what was The Edge with another guitar player. Well, Ty and Doug, they're brothers to me. They're my family. You know, it's almost like we're a marriage in a sense. And the first time I met Doug, he was joining a band that I was joining. And I think we were both sort of, when I look back on it, we both were sort of a little green, if you will. And so I felt really comfortable with him, because I felt like we were in the same position. And from there, we decided that the two of us should start a band. We should be in a band together. You know, we felt that connection. And I met Ty for the very first time. He was opening for this band that Doug and I were in, the Phil Keaggy band. This is in the book too. And he asked me if he could use my drums. He was actually the drummer in that band. I said, yeah, sure, you can use my drums. And that's the very first time I met Ty. And then later, I was doing these demos for some girl named Tracy Zinn. And Ty was the guitar player. And I saw him sitting in the corner playing these licks. I'm like, wow, this guy can really play the guitar. And then eventually Doug saw him play, and he said, we gotta find this guy. We did. Decided to be a band, played together first time. We thought, this is the band we want to be in. And then we formed that band. We were together for probably, that was in 1980. And for about 5 years, and then we moved to Houston, Texas. We had some people who believed in us, and they wanted to help us get a real record deal. So we went to Houston, and we were the backing band for one of their artists on their label. We did that while they tried to help us get a real record deal, because that, again, was a Christian label, which is something that we knew we were not. So anyway, so that happened. We met Sam Taylor through those people, and we eventually changed our name to King's X, and here we are today.